so used to looking for them.
Yeah.
That when you don't see them, you're going to look somewhere else, and you may end up going all the way around the tennis stadium looking for one that had the sign and realize that there are no signs.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I was mad. I should have showed up to the concert earlier, but showed up and I usually park right where the handicap spots are, and I think they had sold some of the handicap spots to VIP.
Mm-hmm.
Where?
At the tennis
court
for a concert.
It's common.
So I had to go park in the Publix parking lot across the street.
I'll check on that. That's wrong.
Please do.
Huh?
I said, please do.
I
I like that front row parking. It's nice to pull up right there and get up.
You parked in one of the parking lots across the street.
A
It
handicap.
says you can't park here.
Right, yeah, where there's a security guard standing there, like, picking out cars to tow. Luckily, it didn't get me.
That was one of the things I was worried about when we went to doing concerts out there.
I love that venue. I've had great experiences out there.
That's nice.
It's a nice venue.
The ADA section's great. There's not a bad seat in the house, really. It's easy to get down there or up there. It's easy to get down to the floor if you are okay going down there.
What venue is that?
The tennis stadium.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Maria.
Hi, everybody.
You're out there. You're better off being handicapped than you are being
Right.
vehicles. I get bleed seats.
Yeah.
I've run out of steam by the time I get to the top
Yeah.
of the place.
Well, they did do away with a lot of the handicap seats, though, when they redid it.
When they added all those suites.
Oh, suites, yeah.
Yeah. Well, working on getting some friends that have some suites.
All right.
Well, I'll let y'all get to
Nice to meet you, Gary. Hopefully I'll see you out in the
Nice to
field,
meet you,
field
Gary.
someday.
guys. Always good to see you, Jan.
Thanks. You too.
Oh, do we have a quorum?
We do, because we have four online.
4 online?
Yeah.
All right. We call it to order.
Let's make sure the ASL interpreter can understand us. Yes?
Yes, the ASL interpreter can hear you fine.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm assuming we don't have any public comments. Since we don't have anybody from the public here. You've got the minutes from the June 23rd meeting. Seems like a long time ago,
It was a long time ago.
but any corrections or additions to the minutes? We're gonna approve them.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye, all opposed say nay.
Hi.
Let's try a little quick on that one. Aye. Introduction of,
Excuse me, could I just know who's sitting in the room? Because it's hard to tell.
good point.
Absolutely.
You look over here.
I'm Ron Ferretra.
I'm Frank Hemphill. I'm Alex Jackson.
And Janet Schumacher.
Yay, okay, great, thank you.
We'll try to get a little closer together here. All right. So we're supposed to have Ben.
Alquist. Okay, not here yet.
He's not here yet. So let's go to the discussion on the commission goals. So we did this goal sheet, or we didn't, Alex did a long time ago.
Commission before.
Yeah, the commission did it. And then we re-looked at it. You guys did it before COVID, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I've looked at it. I guess everybody's looked at it. And certainly there's some stuff that that I think can be done better. Although, like the building inspector said that was here, long as it meets the code, it's fine. Although we would like an extra 6 inches or whatever. And I think that's what we need to work, is we need to work the city to change it to say something different. Like some cities have higher standards and not and not minimal standards. And I think that's what we need. I mean, you go around to, well, first off, the city has a ton of buildings that they're saying is covered under the Grandfather Act, and they technically are. Pardon?
Like historical stuff like that?
No, if they haven't done any improvements to them since their building codes change,
Yeah.
then they don't have to do anything.
Grandfathered into, yeah.
The problem is that that's usually controlled through the building permits. The city's not required by state law to have building permits. It's also based on the appraised value of the building. City buildings aren't reappraised. So the MLK swimming pool is a prime example. You know, they put almost $2 million into that roof. Some people say almost $3 million, whatever. That property certainly was way under that. I mean, that was way more than 50%. So that building should have been torn down. It should have been rebuilt. And they're not doing it. And I think that's something else somehow we need to convince city council that needs to get done. I don't know how we do that. We do have a problem with the sidewalks. I don't know whether it's worse to walk or ride. I mean, I really don't.
It's bad.
It's bad either way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, if you're walking, you're gonna fall, and if you're riding, you may fall if you're not real careful. And I think we need to see, is there really a plan for that, to fix that?
Is there a long-term, like, I remember before the pandemic, as the city was paving roads, they would also be redoing sidewalks. Yeah. Is that still a thing?
The current situation is that all new things that are built we're requiring sidewalks, which works great for the new stuff. There had been discussion over the years when I was here that if the state owned the sidewalk, the city couldn't fix it for the concern about being financially responsible for it and everything else with it in the future. There has recently been a court ruling that says otherwise. And the court ruling that says otherwise says the city can participate in some of the repair of the sidewalks. So what we had thought previously to be the case is no longer the case. And there has not been a conscious effort to catch up with that new difference, if you will.
The downside of that change to the law is that it also makes the city liable for any injuries on that sidewalk, where prior to that, the state was liable, or the county, whoever owned the road or sidewalk.
Does the new law take effect even before the new jurisdiction, even before the road or the sidewalk is repaired? So is the city still responsible, liable?
Yes. That was my understanding of the law. And I think, you know, sidewalks are a problem. I heard from a very good source that in any given day, the city has about 500 sidewalk claims.
Jeez.
Trip and falls. Now, I'm going to tell you that the municipal association insurance would typically pay for any injuries and then a small, whatever you want to call it. So if you think about that, that's $50,000-$60,000.
I am following that line of thought in light of the change, and I'm not sure if it's a law or a judicial ruling, or I don't know how it came about. I would like to ask all the commissioners that when you see a sidewalk problem, please report it. Yeah. And I will send you all by link the customer service center report desk number. It'll get faster attention in that way, but if you somehow let me know, that would be nice too, what you see. So I'll send that out by email.
So anybody got any good ideas on how we check out the curb cuts? I mean, other than if you run across one, report it, but.
We had looked at previously doing curb cuts in batches, like down King Street or down Meeting Street or something like that.
We should go on a bar crawl.
I was gonna say, this has not to include some incentive.
Bar crawl, thank you.
That would be perfect.
Yeah,
I've only heard of those. Never done once in my life.
We'll make sure the bar is accessible and the curb cuts in between them are.
Yeah, that's right.
Got to have our priorities straight.
What do y'all think about a media campaign?
I was getting ready to say, is there a way to get the media involved with that? Obviously there needs to be attention to it, but I don't want it to be a negative story.
Right.
But I want it to be educational.
Yeah. I don't think we need to come on there and say, oh, the sidewalks are terrible, man, you can't, there's no curb cuts.
I think coming about it as showing like a day in the life of someone going down the street or something like that, I think the news may pick that up and tell it in a
I feel
positive
like
way.
we've done that before.
I like the idea of a day in the life of whether it's getting into a bathroom in a restaurant or getting through the table traffic in a restaurant.
We've done that too.
But I think the next step is trying to make sure that city council or somebody follows through on what we're envisioning.
Again, it's an idea that's been done before, but not with this current city council. Maybe what we do, get a couple of strategic city council members, get them each a chair and invite them to roll along.
Well, it is an election year.
Yes, exactly.
So, and I'll leave it at that because Janet will yell at me again.
I didn't yell before. You haven't heard yelling.
I do like the idea, and city council does have to be part of it because I think one of the problems with ADA issues is that there's very little follow-up inspection on them. They go in and they move a toilet in the bathroom for whatever reason, and nobody knows it until somebody goes in to use it, and they go, ooh. So I somehow I think we need to get some kind of an inspection campaign going too. Janet says that's not me.
No, it probably should be.
No.
I'm just.
No, it really shouldn't. I'm trying to say this very tactfully.
Forget about tact. Go for it.
Sometimes some departments look at ADA requirements as a pain. And if you show up to do it, then, that continues it to be a
Yeah,
pain.
that's,
But if you could get somebody, a building inspector or whoever, to show up to do it, I think life gets better.
so we're working on number 1 on the list.
Well, we're down to number 6 now. We're kind of
Thank
talking
you,
about
okay.
all of them. So,
All right,
and then Alex wants to identify easy routes across Marion Square, navigate to the park, etc. It's almost impossible.
Well, I think that goes into what we were just talking about.
Did you know?
Yep.
Yeah, the day in the life type things.
Yeah, day in the life thing. You have cars that illegally park constantly.
Like just today I was at Central Mall and the Brinks bank truck was parked in front of the curb cut to get into the food court. So just
Yeah.
things like that are.
And I guess they could write them a ticket, but who's going to write them a ticket? You have to get the
They're
parking.
gone. They're gone before you.
Yeah, they're long gone.
with intent. They know they can.
So I think you're right, Alex. That's probably a day in the life of would be better. Specific areas, the Peninsula and West Ashley. West Ashley's
This one is pretty broad.
Semi can move around pretty much in a wheelchair in it, but downtown, I don't think. Downtown is a problem.
Actually, the area at Avondale, I find much more challenging than.
Oh, like Avondale's challenging if you can walk.
That's what I mean. That's much more challenging for me than downtown.
Well, you get cars coming at you in 5 different
I know.
directions.
It's crazy over there.
And the curbs are all uneven heights, so I can't gauge to
Right.
get over the curb. And there are no ramps, I don't think, anywhere.
I tried to cross from like Middle Street to Triangle. There was like no easy way to get it. But just being in the road.
Mm.
Parking's so hard over there too.
Well, and my dentist is at West Oak Forest and Savannah Highway. So right across from the Starbucks on Savannah Highway. And so I have in past tried to go after my appointment, cross the Savannah Highway to go to Starbucks. And that is like, even though there is a crosswalk, cross signal, first of all, you have to be a contortionist to reach the button. Second of all, it's not like people really pay attention. I can tell you the number of times I have felt like I've been playing a game of human Frogger.
Yeah.
Gotta get that Starbucks though.
Hey, yeah, I want to go back to curb cuts for just a minute because some of the curb cuts don't line up with the road. So they're off to the side. And when you go to stop your wheelchair, your casters go down that hill. No matter what you do.
I don't get it. What do you mean? That your curb, that they don't line up with the road?
Right, they don't line up perpendicular to the road. They're at an angle
Oh, okay.
and then they're sloped.
From 3 angles.
Pardon?
They're sloped from 3 sides.
Yeah, sloped from 3 sides. So if you try to stop on a side, the casters on your chair will roll only a little bit, just enough to get your attention,
Mhm.
or to run into the person that's standing too close to you. And that's a problem too. I forgot about that.
I know, like when I was at college in Charleston, I think Calhoun and St. Philip. So like you can enter onto the crosswalk from the St. Philip side, but then you sort of have to navigate in a way to sort of get over to cross Calhoun. So it's not a wide enough spread of the curb cut.
And that's interesting because that brings up the previous point, that was a state responsibility.
Yeah,
and now it kind of becomes mine. So the state roads previously that I had been told not to even think about, we need to think about this now. How are we gonna do? A small aside, I do have it on my list. We had at one point the institution of 100 curb cuts a year. And with that, the city-owned ones had done pretty well. We may need to go back to 100 curb cuts a year.
So I remember when they did some, San Redbird, was that part of that? 100 curb cuts, like from 61 up to, I don't know, up to like the Outback Steakhouse.
yeah, there's a lot of non-curb cuts there. They're expected to use the driveways.
I think there are now curb cuts there, but they are driveways too. But for the most part, I think it's all should be pretty good.
I have been working very hard in reviewing projects to make sure there's an accessible route to the right-of-way in addition to driveways.
Yeah.
But that's only for new projects, so.
I like this one, replacing the Ashley River Bridge. Somebody unconfused me here because I thought we were gonna do the North Bridge one first. That's what I heard for months and months and months. And then the other day, unless my hearing aids weren't working right, I heard they want to do the south one first and do the West Ashley one someday in the future. Did I hear right?
The West Ashley one has just come in at triple the price. That was to have been, like, so it went from
Well, of course,
$20,000 to.
The price was 20 years ago they got.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that you may have been hearing correctly.
And they're gonna have the same problem on the other end. It's gonna be triple the price.
Didn't I just hear they're doing a pedestrian bridge?
Yeah, it's going to be pedestrian bridge. I don't think they're not replacing the actual.
Right. We're gonna put a
Yeah,
pedestrian
just put
bridge
it
on
next to
each.
it.
But to your point, the North Bridge has been talked about previously.
Yeah,
All of this came up, so I don't even know where that is in the works.
yeah, me either. And that's something, I live at the end of that bridge. I live in North Bridge Terrace. So I've been up and down that bridge many times with people on a bicycle, either in a lane or in that center thing,
Oh,
or
yeah.
sometimes wherever. And that's dangerous.
It's,
And then Carter was supposed to have a bus
they have
that was gonna run every 30 minutes.
isn't that big,
I don't believe it's running every 30 minutes across the bridge now.
but there's a bus stop at that first
Right,
light on the West Ashley
Yeah.
side and the first light on
yeah,
the other side.
I didn't realize that. I missed
Yeah.
that part.
And you're supposed to be able to put your bike on the bus so
Yeah.
you can
Uh-huh.
go over.
but I don't know that it's 30 minutes anymore.
Hi, could somebody just help me orient? When we're talking the Ashley River Bridge, it's the one heading into town, correct?
That's where the new pedestrian bridge is supposed to be, yes.
Yeah.
The one heading towards
When
the,
we're talking the North Bridge, that's the other side heading over to West Ashley?
Yes,
No, we're talking about from West Ashley on San Berg into North Charleston.
right, North Bridge goes over to
That's
Cosmo.
right, all right. See, that's where I was really confused as to which one we're referring to.
they have real names, but nobody that lives in Charleston knows them.
Yeah.
True.
All right, permanent spinal cord injury, low country breeze, constant contact.
Can you hear me?
Surveys, I like surveys. Right, surveys for the ALS Association, so. Do you think surveys would be effective? And are we talking surveys amongst people that are disabled, or are we talking surveys amongst?
Or we're talking about surveying an area, like
My
looking at it.
understanding of number 9, and that's because I wrote it on my lap as everybody was talking before COVID. But my understanding of number 9 was that they wanted to create a paper survey to give to people with disabilities to get the general impressions of where, for example, they found most accessible, where they found a place to list areas that are difficult to access, and list of checkboxes that you find to be easily accessible. Like if we went down through parks and sites, what's easy to get to? And then good parking areas. We wanted to know their zip code, and we were wondering if they use any assistive technology or equipment.
So here's a crazy thought.
You made Annette smile with that.
Instead of handing out a bunch of paper, if we printed a bunch of cards, and Alex had 10 cards, he had 10, I had 10, you had 10, we gave cards to people, and they could do this, and they could do two things with a card. They could either give the card to the restaurant or the store, wherever, or they could turn the card into Janet that listed the good or the bad. Because, we talked about patting people on the back that are doing good and not ignoring them.
Well, are you talking about handing out cards with a Survey Monkey link? Because that's what I also see on those notes.
No, I was going to have a Survey Monkey link on there. I mean, I guess you could, but I was just thinking of almost like a business card that said, hey, I stayed here, or I was here, and this was good or this was bad.
I could see both,
I can see both too.
both the survey and.
Because you can put a little barcode on the card and
Yeah, just put a
scan
barcode.
it,
Yeah,
send you right to a survey.
yeah. It wouldn't cost the city much to print them up for us.
No. Of course, I do have this much in my budget, but of course, still it wouldn't take much.
But I don't know, what do you think of that idea?
Perhaps as
All
we are
sorts of
looking
ideas
at the
now.
overall list, that's where to start.
That survey card. Yeah, I think you can get two approaches out of it. So I want to survey the general public, to people with disabilities, but I also want that also the recognition of businesses.
Yeah,
And so I don't know if it needs to be on the same card, have a QR code for the survey that we can send out electronically or on paper, or paper surveys, and then still do some kind of reward recognition.
yeah.
Because I think they're.
Maybe a nomination.
All right. What about like the Charleston best of? What if there was a section about most accessible?
Yeah.
I like that.
That's a good idea.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the best of everything else in there.
Right? Might as have them striving to be most accessible.
Someone wrote a comment in the chat. See it.
Oh, yeah, somebody's
You
got
could have like a
comment.
most accessible category and have it have restaurants, different style businesses,
Yeah,
event spaces,
Parks.
parks.
All that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
yeah, because there's some restaurants that are really easy to get into.
There are some where you require a few human beings to
Yeah.
help. All
There's
the ones
another
down
comment.
there. That's a whole other.
Apparently we can't hear Michelle.
I don't even see Michelle on there.
I thought I heard someone that was saying, "Can y'all hear me?" I wasn't sure whether it was somebody's phone in the background or what, but somebody was saying, "Can you hear me?"
Well,
Yeah.
I see her as muted.
Okay, maybe I've messed up somehow.
Michelle, can you unmute from, oh, they can, now it's unmuted. Mm-hmm.
Now?
Yes, and that's the same voice I heard earlier. I
There we
couldn't
go.
hear that. I thought it was somebody else's phone or something, or somebody in their house, yeah.
No, that was me. I just was trying to not be so loud. And,
Yeah, it's
I
real
was-
low, because I had to turn my volume all the way up. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think the surveys are a great idea, but I wanted to get clarification on the bridge and the pedestrian walk. About the Ashley River Bridge.
Hold on, there, sorry, wrong thing. What were you saying, Michelle? I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing.
Oh, no, the pedestrian walk or sidewalk, were you guys talking about the North Bridge here, the Ashley River Bridge, coming from West to North Charleston or vice versa? Is that the one?
Yes, we were talking about two things sort of at the same time. We were talking about the North Bridge going from West Ashley to North Charleston. That there was talks a while back of making that more pedestrian friendly, but I'm not quite sure where that is in the city's planning. And then just within the last week or so, the Ashley River Bridge going from West Ashley to downtown. The price for that pedestrian is more expensive.
Okay. So they're gonna fix that one first.
I'm assuming they're going to do the downtown one first. I'm not quite sure, but who
Yeah, I
knows
don't
at this
know.
point. So,
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
There's a lot of talk about West Ashley being the non-recipient of funds over the years in anything. So I think because it's an election year, I don't know which way it's gonna go.
I knew that the current mayor thinks more things happened in West Ashley because of him financially, but I don't know if that'll continue.
Yeah, well, nothing's happened though.
Yeah, when he first started, a little bit, but it still hasn't been a lot.
We bought a Piggly Wiggly so we wouldn't get a Parker's, and we got a Parker's across the street, but I won't go there. All right, what should be added for people with disabilities that are not mobility disabilities? Audible pedestrian signals, braille on signs in public buildings. And not only, I think, braille on signs in public buildings, but some public buildings actually have verbal signs. Not here, obviously.
Where's that?
I think, are any of our traffic lights verbal?
We have a big video stuff.
Just the beeping, right?
Yes, just the best of my knowledge, just the BB ones.
Yeah.
Where are those? Again?
There had been one over by MUSC, but the salt air got it. Yeah, like the salt air does. So I don't know of any at present, although this indicates, and it's in your packages that are here, and for those of you who are zooming in, I don't know if you have seen this. Can you see this at all?
It was in your email.
Yeah, it's in your email. Annette, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it was in our packet.
Okay. That talks about the pedestrians. They are now required. The current access board was able to get this pushed through in 10 years easily. And so now this in your packet will tell you what's required for the pedestrian push buttons called AS, whatever it is. APS, accessible pedestrian signals.
When does it have to be complied with?
Number 5, when pedestrians' facilities are altered. You'll hold your breath.
Yeah, it's like the airplane seating. It's a great thing, the airplane seating. Let's see. They have to order the airplane after 2024, and it doesn't have to be implemented until 10 years after that.
How about the bathroom?
The bathroom in the
The
wheelchair
wooden seat or
parking
whatever.
area, yeah. And it's for airplanes with 150 seats or more. The 737, which is
Is
the
the
most
one that
popular
flies out of
airplane
here.
in the world,
Well, it doesn't have
carries
to.
143 in the 700, 155 in the 800, but by the time you take out the seats, which they will do instead of modifying it. We need to make more people with disabilities use our equipment for a day or two.
Yeah, right.
That should be the media day.
Did I tell you too my ADA moment? When we built the new city hall in Goose Creek, that wasn't supposed to be my baby, but it kind of fell in my lap when the city administrator got tired of going up there and arguing. We built it, beautiful facility, looked really nice. After about a year, some lady came in my office and said, "You don't have ADA door pulls on there, and if you don't have them by the time I come here next Tuesday, I'm gonna turn you all into Columbia." So I might have said a few words about why we really didn't need that, but I got my maintenance guy to go get the pulls, and he put them on the 6 front doors we had and all of that. It cost like $1,200. But now, obviously, I have a whole different thought about that.
Yeah.
And that's probably why sometimes I get so angry at some stuff.
Good point. So after
So-
our discussion, if I put together a survey of 8 to 10 questions, we don't want so many that people get bogged down, and bring them next time. And if I figure out how in the world we would distribute it to people, would that be a step in the right direction?
Yes, I think so.
And I think we have some good possibilities for distribution because we have physical therapy departments in all of the local hospitals. All of us have connections with various populations, support groups, advocacy groups, where we can also, there's also in public schools and at the colleges, people who, and in doctors' offices. I mean, there's some natural places that kind of lend themselves to points of distribution.
Can we review the questions by email before the next meeting,
Sure.
just to sort of speed up the process a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
but I
thank
don't
you.
know if I'll find out how to distribute it. You know, the Survey Monkey link or that, I don't know how to do that yet.
I
Well,
think we can review the questions.
just the questions.
Yeah, just the questions all we
Okay.
care about.
And Alex, you should be pretty familiar with SurveyMonkey, correct?
Yes, it's easy to do, can even do, and if it's coming from the city, I think SurveyMonkey will probably be the best. But there's Google surveys.
Yeah. other options.
There's
these days.
tons of them out there, so, but whatever the city recommends, but it's easy to create a survey and send it out.
Okay. It's my own, I mean, I'm simply ignorant about it, but I can figure it out. Look, we're on YouTube. I figure.
Yeah, and if we make it no more than about 10 minutes,
I'd say less than that.
we stand a better chance of getting it filled out.
Okay.
And one of the items that can be added is if you have any additional input, we'd love to hear it. If so, please include your email address and may we contact you. Something
Right.
like that lets us go a little bit more in depth if they're interested in sharing more, or if we'd like to flesh out. And one of the reasons I put that there is that Post and Courier had set out a survey. I'm a subscriber. They were looking at doing some travel experiences and sponsoring those. They sent out a survey to subscribers asking some questions. What would you like to see? Da-dum-da-dum. I happened, where they had a comments box, and I put some comments about folks with disabilities and accessible trips. Well, the editor got a hold of me and said, I read this is of great interest. And as a result, we put together a meeting that Alex was at and Maria was at and Marka was at, and we just had an informal round table with Autumn Phillips from the Post and Courier with some suggestions. So people who do those kind of surveys, I was surprised, actually look at the comments and will reach out in contact if that contact information is provided.
Okay. I will put together some questions based on this document and send it to you all, not before Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
First thing Monday, though.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even first
No,
Monday.
no, cut us some slack. Give it till
End
1
of
o'clock.
day.
Yeah,
End of day Monday.
Give it till 1.
Do you remember the fact that I didn't have any internet in my office today? No internet in the office.
All right. The other thing, I think, are we done with this?
Yeah.
I think so for now. I think we can
We beat it to
focus
death?
on the questions.
Yeah,
So-
I like the questions ones in like the first 2 or 3 items that we talked about as the main focuses. I don't know if we ever actually voted on ones we were focusing on.
Oh, well, we have input from Ron and input from Maria, but I didn't get input from anybody else.
I know, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't select my top 3, but I can tell you my top 3 or 4 right now.
Well, go ahead.
I like on this 10 numbered list is 1, 2, and 3, but 3 really encompassing a few things. I think we started talking about the did you know during that, and also lumping the I guess it was the did you know aspect into that, and then obviously the survey.
Okay.
Number 9. I don't know how articulate that was, but
And I agree with you as well in terms of the number 1, and then also the survey. I think this is like an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? We just gotta grab an ear, a trunk, a tail, something, and start chewing.
It's an iceberg. You just need to chip away at it piece by piece.
Now, if we modified number 1 from being city building officials to check and see what's included in the final inspection to having city officials come to the commission, which I realize is a bad thing to say today because Ben didn't come. But would you like some city folks like Gary Pope, who was here earlier?
yeah, I thought he was like coming to stay with us. He was just
Yeah, I did too.
He was just stopping in.
He was just stopping in.
I think it would be great if we had
If they showed up.
some people. I'd like to see Wes come in. Yeah, I know. But Wes is in charge of maintaining all these buildings. So what better guy for us to talk to? When you think about it. Now, I don't know what Wes will think about the idea, but and the building inspectors,
Gary's the best building inspector for us to, I mean, we have probably 30, but Gary is the one who is in charge of most of them. So that's why. Oh, this is Michelle calling, so I'm going to answer the phone. Yes, Michelle, you're on speaker.
Okay. I got kicked out and I've just been sitting in this waiting room waiting to get back in, but it won't let me back in, so I figured I'd just listen on the phone, if that's okay.
That's absolutely fine, but I can also let you back in. You can see I'm not very good at, I'll let you back in. I didn't realize you were, I have a small screen and there's a lot of stuff going on it right now. Will that work okay for you to be back on this? Okay.
I proceed, thank you.
Certainly, I apologize to you and I'm so glad you called. Thank you. Okay.
okay, so she sent out this list. I don't know where you got this. I like this.
That list is part of my,
Imagine a Charleston where every event, meeting, facility, including the stage, to which the public is invited is wheelchair accessible. City will not support, sponsor, or promote or license any activity that's not accessible. I like the idea.
It's a great document. Harriet wrote very well.
I was gonna say, did you see where it came from, Annette?
Yes, I did.
I hadn't seen this for several years until I found it the other day.
And as we're working and reaching out to building inspectors and to restaurant owners and to whoever the other stakeholders that we need to partner with, that I like that document as a way of sharing with them that vision, so that rather than adversarial, we're partnering with to make that vision a reality.
Could we get Harriet to do a letter to the editor with this?
Oh, she's dead.
Sadly not. She died about 10 years ago.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know her.
No, Ben Almquist has just joined us. He was held up and has been able to join us. Can you hear us okay, Ben?
Yeah, thanks, Janet. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Ben.
So can we divert our agenda now and go hear from Ben?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Ben, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Ben Olmquist. I'm the city's emergency management director. I've been on board with the city for about a year now. Prior to that, I was the director of emergency management for Berkeley County. So a lot of what I've...
Excuse me, Ben, can we see you?
Sorry, I'm actually in the truck right now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So my focus is on the city's response to large-scale events, including disasters such as hurricanes, flooding, earthquakes, everything like that. I coordinate a lot of the city's larger events, such as the Cooper River Bridge Run. So anything that kind of exceeds the scale of normal operations, that's where I get involved.
Did we lose him?
No, you're still there, right, Ben?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. So when and if, God forbid, we have another evacuation, Ben will be the city person who's in charge of handling that aspect of evacuations. Ben has read our letter and Annette's concerns about evacuating and shelters. So do y'all have any questions for Ben?
basically, as you are looking towards the tropics right now, it's getting kind of active. And what has been put into place for preparation for this hurricane season, in terms of, because there's been very little kind of publicized at this point, coordinating with the Red Cross with evacuation emergency shelters, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that is actually a year-long process. We never stop coordinating with our partners. Just because it's hurricane season doesn't actually change that much for us, because earthquakes, tornadoes, large-scale thunderstorms, large fires, I mean, that could happen any time of the year. So we're always coordinating. Specific to hurricanes, prior to the start of the hurricane season, actually the Highway Patrol conducted a test of the evacuation of the land reversals. Every year we go through and we reassess our shelters to make sure that we have not just a good list of shelters, but also we know how many the Red Cross and Department of Social Services can staff. We coordinate with DHEC to make sure that they are good to go with the special medical needs shelters. We coordinate with a lot of partners. We're always looking for areas that we can improve upon. So it's a continuous process that we are constantly building on. The Lowcountry has a hurricane task force that consists of municipalities, counties, and state agencies that bring subject matter experts together. We do that multiple times a year to constantly discuss projects. Every large jurisdiction, cities and counties, conducts regular training, whether that's classroom training or actual exercises. So it is a very robust program. We just don't like to talk about it a whole lot because it's not the kind of thing we like to draw attention to, because we don't want to panic people unnecessarily and make them think that, oh, there's something that they're getting ready for right now. So it's better that it's just part of our normal process.
May I ask one more question on top of that?
Sure.
Understandably, all of that, as you're looking towards this hurricane season, in all the seasons past, having working generators that can charge wheelchair and other equipment batteries was sadly lacking. And it was talked about earlier that generators would be pre-positioned at any of the emergency shelters. Is that a plan for this season?
So I can speak on some of that. The county is actually responsible for the shelter management. Berkeley County, one of the things I did is I made sure that our primary shelter in Berkeley County was Cane Bay High School. And that one did have an emergency backup shelter. So we made sure that power is available there. I've been speaking with Charleston County. They've had to go through a major reassessment of their shelters because of wind categories and buildings not being rated properly. So they are reassessing that. I'm not sure that they have generators at the ones that they have available. But one thing I make sure I tell everybody, just because a shelter is in Charleston County doesn't mean that you as a Charleston County resident have to go to that shelter. In fact, we would encourage you to go to Cane Bay because that is outside of all of the flood inundation areas associated with tropical storm.
Okay, so Ben, I'm sorry, folks, if I'm dominating this, but this is very, as you know, near and dear. I do not drive. I am dependent on where Telluride will bring me for evacuation. So I call Telluride and they just dump me somewhere. And the reason I'm asking about generators is that 2 storms back, North Charleston High was what was the evacuation emergency shelter. They had a generator, but when the storm was lapping up against us and the power went out, everyone found out to their dismay, is that the only thing the generator powered was just the lights. None of the refrigerators, not the AC, none of the outlets for powering worked on that generator.
Okay. That is an operational failure because those generators are supposed to be able to do backup power. So I can reach out to the county on that one specifically because
That would be great.
that is something that is supposed to happen.
Because you see, the reason I'm asking specifically is that just because if you're just in a wheelchair, you are not eligible for the medical needs shelter.
Correct.
When I go to general population shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And within 2 days, I'm sitting in a paperweight unless, that's absolutely still, unless I can recharge my power wheelchair battery.
Yeah. I can discuss that with the county and make sure that the school district is testing those generators because it doesn't do us any good to just power the lights.
Nope. No,
You've got to have emergency power.
Well, and it was the whole situation at North Charleston High was they had just redone all of their bathrooms. So it was motion sensor flushing and motion sensor sinks. So we couldn't flush, we couldn't wash the hands. It got dicey there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely touch base with the school district on that and make sure they've addressed that. That sounds like something that immediately after somebody from maintenance would have gotten a phone call and been told to go fix it. But I will double check on that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
The generator's not bad enough. It doesn't do any good.
Interestingly, I had the opportunity to ask Ben if the hurricane signs that are up around town had been checked lately and were en route for people to pick up. And he assured me that they were. Ben, is that still the case?
Yes, we have reached out to the county on that to make sure that all the signs have been updated. They told us that everything is up to date with their hurricane plan.
Good news. Other questions, y'all?
I have a question. How many shelters will there be in Charleston County?
So that's hard to say. It depends on storm conditions. It also depends on the availability of Red Cross and Department of Social Service staffing. If the storm exceeds a Category 3, Charleston County will not open any shelters. They'll partner with Berkeley and Dorchester to utilize their shelters. And we're always working, trying to get more volunteers, but we are, because the county and the city do not have the staff to operate shelters. So we're reliant on Red Cross volunteers and Department of Social Services. So it really just matters how many people they have available for us.
How do you plan on getting the people in Charleston to Dorchester County and Berkeley County shelters?
So we do have a plan in place with CARTA. They're ready to provide us with buses for that specific mission if needed. And then we also have backup plans with the school district buses as well.
That's fine for the people that can walk and get on the bus. But what about the people that are in wheelchairs?
So the county is going to be the primary on that. They will partner with certain organizations. Anybody who has that specific need, the county will help organize getting them special transportation.
Do we have a list of those people so that they can be contacted to make sure that they're on the list?
No, they won't have a list because that's something that would update so frequently that there's no way they could keep up with it. What they'll do is provide a phone number for people to call.
Okay.
Tell me the name of the new guy at county.
Joe Coates is the new emergency management director there.
Thank you. Thank you. If there are no other questions, it is 4:58 and we're supposed to adjourn in 2 minutes.
Ben,
Yeah. I'll get in touch with you by email, Ben, so that we can facilitate the question for Annette, but I'm sure that everyone in the commission would like to hear the answer too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you. So, real quick, did y'all get a chance to look over this Imagine a Charleston where?
Yeah, I did.
Can we resend this to city council?
Yeah.
Should that come from us or should that come from you?
Oh, us.
That's kind of what I thought. But I
Is
just
it
want to
your
make sure.
question?
And is it possible to get it in as a letter to the editor? Or are we stealing a copyright of Harriet Johnson?
I'll have to ask somebody who legally knows that. I think if we attribute it to her, then we can do it.
That's what I think, but
Yeah.
I just think it's a great letter to the editor. You
I
know,
think we can I think this would be a great thing to include with at the bottom that the commission is developing a survey.
Yeah,
I was even thinking, we could mention that as well, but could this be our like mission or our motto for the commission?
I love this.
Mission or vision?
So,
Mission or something like
yeah, I mean, if you had asked me to put this in order of what I thought was most important, I don't know how the hell I'd do it. That's on this list. I mean, they're all important things. You know, they're not, for lack of a better term, wish list items.
when she wrote it in 1997, I was not yet the ADA coordinator.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Are we gonna do the bar crawl?
Yes. Where's happy hour?
It's happy hour.
It's 5 o'clock, so it's here.
It's 5 o'clock here.
It's always 5 o'clock. So we make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We're done.
Thank you, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. I think we actually accomplished some stuff tonight.
You too.
Nothing else, we have come up with a way or two to try to get the public to understand what's going on.
Yeah.